Stakes Fantasy Network. I'm, of course, your host, Greg Ambrosius, and I'm joined today by a very special guest and friend. He's none other than James Roday Rodriguez, the star of Psych, and now ABC's A Million Little Things. He also has competed in the National Fantasy Baseball and Football Championship since 2007, with some success, I will add. James, thanks for joining me on my little podcast here. How you doing?
I feel nervous. The stakes are just so high, Greg. They always are with you.
With my interview, you're looking great, by the way. You look tanned. I like the mustache, of course. You know,
Thank
I
you.
should have kept my
I
own.
did this to pay tribute to you, thinking that we'd be, sitting here like a couple of Sweeney Todds
I
talking
know.
fantasy sports. But here you come in all chiseled and olive skinned and rugged bearded. Man, I don't even know who this person is anymore.
I know.
I don't know who you are anymore.
I'm up at my cottage up north, so I got to have the lumberjack look. But you did say Sam Elliott. I should have kept the Sam Elliott look. I am getting grayer too, so I wish I had gone that way.
You
Damn,
absolutely should have.
I
You
screwed
doubted.
up.
You
All right.
doubted your own legacy, man.
I did. It's peer pressure. It's called peer pressure, and that's what I love about you. You never relent to anything like that, right?
You get one crazy ride on the merry-go-round, Greg.
That's true. Now you're tanned and refreshed. You just had a little vacation, right?
I did indeed. Wrapped a million little things a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Managed to get down to Mexico for a week, Cabo San Lucas, and it was
Nice.
absolutely absurdly luxurious. Very glad that we went down there. It was a nice little reset.
So do people recognize you and do they bother you at all or they want to buy you drinks? You're the kind of guy that they want to buy drinks for, right?
I have a very unusual sort of fan base. I feel like the Psych fans are on one side, and it's a lot of like parents who want to get pictures with me for their kids who are like in
Hmm.
college,
Yeah,
right? So they're not
right.
throwing me booze. And then the A Million Little Things fans, um, you know, a lot of sort of middle-aged, you know, academics. They're not, I never get approached. What I'm saying to you, Greg, is taking the long way home here. I rarely get approached by people that are ready to party.
Wow.
It's Yeah, it's just people that want to say a nice thing,
Yeah.
snap a quick picture and then let me
I
have my
would have
fun.
thought the psychos would be the ones that would be buying you drinks like crazy. You telling me the psychos just want a picture with you for their kids? That doesn't make any sense.
If I ran into some college Psych fans, maybe that would
Yeah.
be different.
Yeah.
But that wasn't going to happen in Mexico. Not the way I do Mexico, Greg.
All right, sounds good. Now you just completed your fourth season of A Million Little Things. When you did the pilot back in 2017, did you think this thing had a chance to be a hit at all?
No, I did not, Greg, and I
Hmm.
and I weighed that heavily into my decision to take the pilot. Um, and that's you've heard, like, if you want to make God laugh, make a plan. That also applies to the entertainment business. If you think you're in a position to make any kind of plan ever, you're wrong. So and I did that. I thought maybe it could go. I thought maybe it could
Yeah.
go for a season or two, but I certainly didn't think it was going to go four, and now potentially five.
Yeah.
You just never know. You just never know what
Yeah.
people are going to connect to or
Yeah.
care about.
Yeah, that's great. Let me ask the same thing about Psych. I mean, that went 8 years. Did you think Psych was going to be a hit right away or not?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I had never done anything that was worth a shit, Greg. I didn't think I never think anything I do is going to catch on. What I will say is that after a couple years of Psych, it did become clear that we
Yeah.
we had a pretty rabid fan base, and that we were probably going to stick around for a while. So
Yeah.
from like year 2, it was like we knew we had a good thing going.
Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about Psych and A Million Little Things later, but we have to talk about more important things like
Hmm.
sports. Now, you were just in Las Vegas a week ago for the NFL draft. You were the celebrity who was chosen to announce the Titans picks in the third round. So, first of all, that's pretty cool. Congratulations. Secondly, there's a lot of other Nashville celebrities a lot bigger than you that could have been chosen for that. How the hell did you get that gig?
It's a great point. A lot of it, I'm sure, had to do with scheduling. But I have a great thing going with Nate Bain. He's the head of the Titans social media, and
Okay.
he's been so cool to me over the years. And we have a great little relationship. We talk pretty regularly about all things Titans, and I think it's the personal touch.
Yeah.
We've gotten to know each other pretty well, and I'm pretty accessible, and I always respond, and he knows how much of a diehard fan I am. That's the other thing, man. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been bleeding blue. I was bleeding Oiler blue before I was bleeding Titan blue, and I
Really?
think that
Okay.
counts. I think
Yeah.
that counts for something. I think there's some sort of fair weather, Titans fans in
Yep.
Nashville because it's the thing to do. But I'm a diehard man.
Yeah, that's powder blue if you were the Houston Oilers, that's for sure. So yeah, you go back a long ways. You deserve it now. I'm sorry about that little dig that there were more, famous Nashville people that could have taken that gig. You sucked
Look,
up
you bring
and you
people
got
on, and you ask the tough questions, and you bring the hard truths, Greg, and that's what people want, and that's what you're delivering.
that's right. All right. So I know you're good friends with Mike the Miz, and he went up just before you to announce the Cleveland Browns pick. And of course, in typical Miz fashion, he was over the top, right? He declared the pick for the 2022 world champion Cleveland Browns. Then you came up after him. That's kind of a tough act to follow, isn't it?
Yeah, it just happened to work out that way because the Browns traded down. We weren't
Yeah.
we weren't originally stacked like that. But on the golf cart, when we arrived to the venue, I heard him workshopping, and I knew he was going to throw out the
Yeah.
2022 Super Bowl. So I knew I couldn't go there.
Yeah.
But I was gifted, and I know you know this already. I was gifted pick 69. Only one person gets 69, Greg. Only one. So I didn't have to do anything.
You should have
I
had the
just,
mustache, not the whole
I
beard for
just,
pick 69.
all I had to do was walk out there and appreciate the fact that I was the chosen one. And I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did.
Absolutely. But you had a tough selection to announce in the third round. That was the amazing thing. You got this offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I thought you nailed it. Can you give us
Thank you.
that name again?
Nicholas Petit Frere.
Oh,
Um,
wow, you nailed it.
Yeah, and what's funny is that back in the green room, you just got a bunch of guys who are all nervous about the same thing. Like nobody wants a hard name. That's all
Yeah.
anybody's saying.
Right.
Just please don't give me a hard name.
Yeah.
I don't get it because they hand you a card, and on the card is the phonetic
Oh,
pronunciation
is it?
of the.
Yeah.
You're not left to your own devices. You don't have to like cross your fingers and stumble through it and hope that you don't embarrass
Uh,
yourself. This this isn't John Travolta at the Academy Awards. It's right there, syllable by syllable. And
nice.
so, if as long as you're looking at your card, there's it's
And
kind
can
of tough to
read.
mess it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
and can
right.
read.
All right. I thought you just kind of freelanced that and made that up because I'm not even sure if you got it right. But now I know you got it right because it was all
Yeah,
spelled out there for you.
it was
All
right
right.
there for me, Greg.
All right, then I want to talk about what happened after that because I thought it was pretty hilarious. The Titans traded up in the third round to draft quarterback Malik Willis. It was a huge trade. This could be history. People will be looking back at the announcement of Malik Willis being the quarterback, and some NFL official made that announcement. Then I see you on the stage jumping up and down like a 9-year-old. Did you crash the stage on that pick, or what the hell happened there?
I I arrived in time. I mean, here I am. I've been flown from Vancouver to the NFL draft on the NFL's dime to announce the Titans picks in the third round. I'm there
Yep.
on time, ready to do my job. They hand the card to this NFL official. I say, "Hey, I'm here. Like the party's here. I'm right here. Like I'm ready to go out and fire up our fan base."
Yep.
And she didn't give up the card. Like I, I don't know what happened. I don't know where the wires got crossed. But she wasn't impressed that I was there.
Yeah.
B, she didn't care that I was under the impression that I was supposed to be announcing the picks. And C, and this is just speculation, man. This is just me putting my own. I'm one man's opinion. I think because it was Malik,
Yeah.
and because his fall was finally going to stop, she
Yeah.
wanted the card. And
Yep.
so I said, all right. I was like, look, if you want to go out there and do it, but I'm going to come out and be your hype man. And so that's what I did. And as you saw, she just brought down the house, Greg. Like
Oh yeah. Oh.
she exploded. She
I
exploded
mean,
on
think about it, back in history when this guy's like a Hall of Famer, they'll go back to the day when he was drafted and she's up there just trying to announce the name right without any emotion at all. But then there you are jumping up
Right.
and down to her left.
That's right. That's right. And depending on which footage or
Yeah.
what coverage you get, you may or may not see me making a
I don't
complete
think we're
fool.
going to see you, and it's going to be unfortunate because that was huge. I was laughing at home. All right, I got to ask you. So you're excited about that? Thoughts on Tannehill? Come on, diehard fan. What about thoughts on Tannehill? You want him being quarterback this year?
You know, I try not to weigh in when the blood's running hot. You know, when the loss hurts the most. I try to take a little distance, and so that I can be fair, because this is my team, and I am emotionally invested in these guys. I never want to say anything or tweet anything that I regret or that I'd end up having to apologize for. So I did. I took some time to sort of digest what happened, and I honestly think that Ryan Tannehill is a guy that's can get you to the promised land if he's got the right pieces around him. Like he's not the guy that's going to put the Tennessee Titans on his back and say, "Follow me to a ring." He's not that guy. Last couple of years, he overachieved. I think we were all really surprised by the sort of career resurgence that he had in Tennessee, and that was fun. It's fun for us to watch, as I'm sure as it was for him to experience. But these last 2 years in the playoffs, he just didn't make plays when he needed to. That loss to the Bengals was excruciating, not only because it was a winnable game, but because how
Yeah.
many times are you going to finish with the number one seed, get the week
Yep.
off, get Derrick Henry back in a wide open AFC
Yep.
where everybody else is cannibalizing each other. We really blew it, man, and it's hard. It's hard not to point the finger at Tannehill. He had a really bad game when we
Yeah. Hey,
needed the exact opposite.
so you and I'm a Packer season ticket holder. I was at the game right after that one. I'm watching your game and I'm going thinking you guys are going to win it. You know what? I'm in line actually to get in and to the Packer game and they said that you guys lost. I'm like, "No, maybe it went overtime. They didn't lose." And so then I sit through that in 5-degree weather and we lose 13-10 on a block punt. We're the number 1 seed in a wide open NFC. The two of us have been hurting for the last 6 months. And I mean, people don't realize as a fan, you don't get over that tomorrow, right? You only get so many chances in life to win a title, and we both had a very good chance there, right?
It was really good. It was really good. And Tannehill could have had the exact same game with two really bad picks,
Hmm.
and we still get by.
Right.
But three, you can't turn the ball over three times in the playoffs. You just can't do
No,
it. So the reason I was excited about Malik Willis is because I thought it was exceptional value where we got him,
absolutely. Yeah.
falling all the way to third, and B, Tannehill is a pro. He's still a guy that's going to go out there and start for the Titans, so that this kid does not get thrown to the wolves. And it reminds me, quite frankly, a lot of a guy that I was a huge fan of earlier in my Oilers/Titan fandom, and that's Steve McNair.
Hmm.
I think he's actually been compared to McNair by
Sure
by a
has.
couple of pundits, and
Yep.
its situation is eerily similar.
Yeah.
He's going to have the opportunity to sit behind a veteran, pick up that offense, hopefully learn, not be mentored. Make no mistake, he's not going to be.
Yeah, no doubt.
But but I do think it's an ideal situation for him, and I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited to see where it can go.
Yeah. So if an actor comes on the set for your job, you're not mentoring him, right? That's what Tannehill said. The funny thing is, I mean, Favre
Yeah.
said the same thing about Rodgers. And of course, that's not their job to mentor him. Of course, they're going to lead by example or whatever. But I thought he got too much shit for that to be truthful. I mean, of course, he's not going to mentor him. But you would mentor an actor on stage with you or on the film with you, wouldn't you?
Look, man, pay it forward. Like he's got that C on his chest. What does he think that stands for?
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to be a captain, then give it up, and then you can go around not mentoring people. But like, come on,
Right.
dude, you can't blow a game almost single-handedly
Yeah.
and then come back with the, "Hey, I'm not mentoring this kid."
I know.
It's it's a tough 1-2 punch, Ryan. Like, come on, man, you got to pick your poison.
Yeah, like you say, if he's the captain, you've got to show a little bit more leadership to say, well, of course, I want to still be the starting quarterback. I'm not going to, whatever, you know. All right, talk about Derrick Henry. Would you draft him this year in fantasy football? Obviously, the foot injury, he came back. He looked pretty good, but obviously, he'd been out a while. If they could have got past that first round, I think they would have fed him the ball an awful lot. Are you drafting him in the first round this year?
100%. If I'm in the right spot and he's there, I take him. I don't think about it. I do believe he has another fantastic year left in him. After that, hard to know. He does, in some ways, feel like an outlier because he takes such good care of himself and he's so big and he's so
Yeah.
strong. He's so fast. Maybe he's an exception. Maybe he's more of an Adrian Peterson and can last longer. But I do feel pretty confident that this next season he'll still have the goods. So absolutely.
All right. So you've been playing high stakes fantasy sports with us since 2007. I looked it up. Let's first talk about what we're doing for the V Foundation because you and I have been friends and we were talking. We did this 2 years ago. You competed in the National Fantasy Football Championship. And 2 years ago, during the pandemic, you were texting me and you said, I feel like I got to do some good during this. Let's raise some money for the V Foundation. Let's work together and see if we can't do something. You recruited Mike the Miz. The two of you each took an NFFC primetime team, and you're going to donate the $200,000 grand prize to the V Foundation
That's right.
if you won the overall title. Now, neither one of you did win, but we raised $12,000 for the V Foundation. Last year, we had a WWE Tag Team Champion Kofi Kingston and Michael Fabiano, used to be with the NFL Network. We raised over $20,000. So just talk about that promotion and what made you think about doing something like this in 2020.
First of all, hats off to you, Greg. You're a businessman. You are in no way obligated to bend to my charitable requests, but you did, and I think it says a lot about you and Tom and what the NFFC is about. But
Thanks.
I was inspired by Scott Fish. I've
Hmm.
been playing the fishbowl for a while too, and I love the fact that he kind of galvanizes the fantasy community
Yep.
in the name of goodwill because it's such a huge booming industry and there's so many of us and we share this passion and why not thread the needle and do some good while we're at it. And I thought, well, hell, like if we can raise anything, if we
Yeah.
can raise $1,000, it's worth it because we do it for the V Foundation and Connor's Cure, which is pediatric cancer research. It's such an
Yep.
incredibly worthy cause. It's just a no-brainer. And I didn't know. I certainly didn't think the Miz or I were going to win the whole thing, but we
Right.
set up a pretty interesting sort of construct where, in order to get into one of our leagues, you had to make a charitable donation, and then any winnings that we get go to the V Foundation, and then anyone who beats me in my league, I pledged more money, and so it was sort of like hey, here's our baseline,
Right.
and then anything on top of that will be gravy. And then we grew it last year with more teams, and I think next year we'll just keep it going, man. I think
Yep.
there's some really good people that want to get involved, people in the industry, people that are a hell of a lot better players than I am, and the Miz is. So I think we'll just sort of keep expanding our little group and improving our odds, knowing that it only takes one great season from one of us
Right. Right.
to raise a whole heck of a lot of money for a great cause.
Yeah, and the V Foundation was very grateful. They know we didn't win the 200,000, but they were grateful for the exposure. We got some people to play with you and the Miz and Kofi, and then we brought in Michael Fabiano, and he won his league title for 7,000. And he had a hell of a team. Unfortunately, he had Derrick Henry who got hurt, but if Derrick Henry had stayed up, we might have donated $207,000 to the V Foundation. So good recruit there. So we're going to recruit some more good ones this year, right? We're going to do it again in 2022.
100%. We went from 2 teams to 5 teams. I think
Yep.
maybe next season we'll try to get 7, 8, 10. Uh, and just keep multiplying our chances. I mean, look, you got guys that buy 20 teams, right?
Of
For one
course.
person, we
Yeah.
can compete as our own little special person.
Absolutely. So the good thing that you did was anybody who beat you in your league, you gave $1,000 to. Now, over the last 2 years, you've given like $13,000. It would be easier if you would just win the league title in the overall. Then you wouldn't have to give so much personally.
Believe
Have you
me.
done the math?
No, don't I know it, Greg? Look, every time I draft a squad, it feels like an overall winner to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then everything goes south.
Well, here's the beauty. Let's talk about this because the first year, actually, you and Ms. shared a team, and I
Yeah.
was like on your text threads, which was hilarious because you had Matt Ryan and you had Rogers, and of course,
Yeah.
you drafted Ryan first, and I thought it was a great pick. And then Rogers has this MVP season that we did not see coming. So you guys are fighting on the text thread. Talk about sharing a team with Ms. and why you're no longer sharing a team with Ms. anymore.
Yeah, it's tough when you have two people who think they know what they're doing, both don't, but they're different, right? Like it's but the passion is commendable. Like I'll
Yes.
give it to the Miz. He is not a deadbeat owner. He's
No.
invested. He cares. That's really all you can ask for someone that's got a full-time gig. He's traveling all the time. He is a good fantasy player, and he does care.
Yep.
But yeah, you always got people that you think are going to have big years, and you got people that you're bullish on, and then you got people that you want to stay away from. And if those two things don't align, it can get tricky.
Yep.
We did start, if I recall, by drafting Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, so we
Yep.
each got our team's
Yep.
alpha back, which at least sort of put us in a like okay, well we each have our
Yeah.
big dogs. But yeah, we had some tough luck. We had Cooper Cup the year before he became Cooper Cup.
Hmm.
I mean, think about that. Just think about what he did last season. We
Yeah.
had him the year before that.
Boy.
Uh,
If you would have had him
um,
yeah, last year, holy cow, yeah. No,
Chubb got
you
hurt.
guys drafted really good that year. It just was, and then you had lineup decisions that were always kind of went against you, but it was hilarious. It really was. I enjoyed being on that thread.
Thanks, Greg. Well, you had no skin in the game. It didn't affect you at all. You just got to sit back
No,
and
I didn't.
watch
I had Rodgers
him
in the game. I told you to
wobble and
draft
make poor
Rodgers.
choices.
Hey, so this year though, the prime time has a grand prize of 250,000. Okay, so more
Oh
chances, but
yeah.
250, not just 200. It's 250,000. Can I say one thing about the Miz? I have no idea how he is even able to play fantasy football or do anything else. That guy's schedule is 24/7, 365, doing reality TV, WWE, Dancing with the Stars. He was last year. I mean, I know you know him as a friend. I've known him for 2 years. That guy just impresses the hell out of me on how he's able to keep his life together.
Happily married man with two kids on top of that. He's got,
Yeah.
he's got a husband and a dad in there somewhere. The guy's just he loves life, man. He's
Yeah.
high on life. He can make
Yeah.
anything a good time. And yeah, I mean, he's on a gravy train. Like, why jump off?
Yeah.
It's a great run that he's on. And he's on, like, he'll do several teams too. Like, he's with us.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's in like a couple leagues with Fabs.
With
Like,
Fabs. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great guy. All right. So let's get the history here. You joined the NFBC in 2007. You drafted live in the main event in Las Vegas. Then you did football that year in New York City. I don't even know the answer to this. How did you hear about the NFBC and NFFC, and what made you join us, anyways?
I found you online. Uh, I had won my friendlies, football and baseball, so many
Uh-huh.
times
Yep.
since '99 is when we started,
Okay.
that I was drinking my own Kool-Aid in such an epic way that I was convinced that I was probably amongst a handful of the best fantasy managers on the planet,
That's
and
right.
I needed to test my acumen against others of that ilk. So I went online and I was like, what there's got to be a place where all the big dogs
Yep.
come and play. And sure enough, there you were. Uh, I signed up my first year baseball, went in there feeling confident, looking around, feeling like there was nobody there that could beat me. This was before I realized that there were like pros, right? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I just thought it was people like me who had jobs, but who also are really good at this thing they do on the side.
It is. A
Um,
lot of guys that do have jobs and are very good on the side. A couple of them who do this kind of professionally.
And so I walked in, and keep in mind this was 2007. It's obviously evolved since then. Once people realized, hey, this is a real means of making money, and I'm really good at it. Maybe I'll just do this. This was '07. where I do feel like there were the majority of people in that room were guys like me. And I walked in there dumb because I had no idea what I was up against. I sat down, I drafted a squad. I remember I got a very, very young Felix Hernandez, like in, I want to say, the ninth round, his
Mm-hmm.
rookie season. I got Zach Greinke before anybody knew that, he was going to be the shit in like
Mm-hmm.
the 10th round. And I waltzed to a top 10 finish. And so, of course, I felt like everything was right.
Yep.
I wasn't making stuff up. I really was as good as I really was as good as I thought I was. I remember I was in a league with Sean Childs, and I walked away from that draft thinking I had the second best draft in my league because that guy really crushed it. And I think that's the year that maybe he finished second or third. Like
Third overall.
he got real close, and
Right.
I was down there at like 10th or something.
Yeah.
But I still felt like I was elite. Like it was only a matter of time
Yep.
before I brought home the big kahuna. Um, and that was an isolated memory, Greg. It was
It was all downhill after that, huh?
my goodness, baseball especially, man. I have
Yeah.
not had a good baseball season since. I don't think it's just been a tragedy and a disaster. Luckily, football has lifted my spirits a couple
Yeah.
times, but baseball, whew, it's been rough.
I know, but I think you won a main event league title in 2009. I looked up. So you were in the running in 2009. You did well. Like you said, Sean had done well. He finished third overall in 2007. But again, I come back to you. How do you have time, especially baseball with Fab?
Yeah.
I know you love this, but how do you have time to be competitive in high stakes fans? And you've never left. You continue to come back here, and it's great.
Yeah, I think that's the problem for me is football because of the way the season is
Right.
structured. It definitely lends itself more to what I can handle. Baseball, I probably should should fold. I just can't. I
No.
can't. It's pride. It's also the fact that like it's a really fun day that I look forward to every year, like drafting in the NFBC.
Right.
It's the day that anything is still possible.
Yeah.
Um, but the truth is, like, I can't start doing research, until like a couple days before the draft.
Yeah.
I'm always way behind the eight ball, and then once we get in season, like, guys are they know they're 6, 7 guys deep that I've never even heard of. I look at the Fab, and I'm like, the guy who went for 250 at the top, I didn't even know was a guy. Like I had never even heard. Who's this guy that everybody was clearly bidding? I'm down there like, oh, I bid $11 on, Chad Cool, thinking I was doing something fun. And the guys that you really want, I've never even heard of. So like,
Yep.
I can't compete, but I will still happily give you my money every year, Greg. And in return, you work with me on a fun charity thing. So
I like it when you pick somebody that sounds like he's obscure. You've done that a couple of times with me, and you'll text me. Dakota Hudson was one. Who was that
yeah.
one guy from Arizona had the funny name that you? I
Oh
can't remember
man,
that one. He was an
I
outfielder.
always oh Socrates Brito.
Socrates Brito. There you go. You had that one down too.
I did. I did. I do. I try to have like one deep sleeper so that
Yeah.
I can feel like I have some degree of integrity going into these things.
So
Uh,
one thing you said to me was that you're just a fantasy nerd. You kind of love that whole camaraderie, competition. You're like 50 million other North Americans who are playing fantasy sports for fun. And if you win some money, that's great. But it's the camaraderie and the competition. I know it's like Sean Childs. You text with Sean all the time, and it's fun to go back and forth and try and pick his brain and stuff, right?
100%. He's been my Obi-Wan for years now. We've even co-managed a couple teams, thinking, oh wow, I'm bringing in the Jedi Master.
Yeah.
His worst teams are the ones that he co-managed with me. Like no question. It's
Maybe
just
he's the problem these days. Maybe
I
he's.
think I'm the cooler. I'm the kiss of death. I think.
Oh, okay.
'Cause,
Okay.
yeah, he's one of the best. Truly, he's in the Hall of Fame. But team him up with me. It's Basement City, baby.
Yeah, no, he's great. But all right, so let's talk about the NFFC where you've had more success. And I agree with you. The
Mm.
one once a week, only 16 weeks. You can keep up with the news and that kind of stuff. You have to follow the minor leagues and that kind of stuff. But we have a contest called the NFFC Cutline Championship, has a $100,000 grand prize. It's kind of a survivor style contest, if you will. And it starts out with best ball where you don't have to set a starting lineup. We have over 2,000 teams in that one. And we whittle it down each week to a final table of 12 players in the final week where the majority of the prize money is. You've made it to the final table twice. I don't even know if anybody else has done that. Now you haven't won the 100,000, but
No,
you've succeeded in that. Why do you like that contest so much, and why are you successful in that contest?
I think it's a great format. I love that the first chunk of the season is best
Yeah,
ball because then you're literally just, you're putting your cards out there and seeing what happens. Again, less responsibility is better for me. And then once it comes time to pay attention, you're down to like the stakes are so high. It's so much fun.
yeah,
You also have deeper rosters,
yeah.
so injuries don't destroy you in the same
Right,
way that they do in the main events. I love that about it too. Like you can lose, your second round draft pick in the first week, and you've actually got a couple pretty good guys,
right.
backing them up. So I think it's easier to survive injuries in that league, and I love the sort of the elimination format of it all. It's just
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, in 2020, in fact, the first year we did the V Foundation, you made the final table. And even though you
yeah,
didn't win the 200,000, you said, I'm giving 100,000 if I win this, even from myself. And that didn't go as well that week 16, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes, right? I mean, you're at the poker table, there's 12 of you there, one of you are walking away with 100,000. That would have been
it
cool.
was that Alvin Kamara Christmas game. Like
Oh yeah, right.
six of the final 12 had Kamara, and
Right.
I was not one of those six, Greg.
Yeah, that's like 57 points right there or whatever he had. It
Yes,
was
it sucked because
unbelievable.
it made the final weekend kind of pointless. I
Yeah.
remember being like, well, that's that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, without him, that was a tough one, no doubt. So, all right. So, how's your baseball teams doing so far?
I'm in the basement as usual at this point in the season. I dropped like a stone very quickly because I'm always hurting on the pitching side of things. It's like it's the same old script. But I do feel like this team has the ability to claw out like to the middle.
Yep.
Like if I were to finish seventh or eighth, I feel pretty good about that. I took Acuna.
Yep.
He came back pretty damn quick, so
Yep.
I feel like that was a win for me.
Yep.
And I my aces are not yet pitching like aces, but I have to think that'll correct itself as we move along.
Yeah. What a weird season. I mean, offense is down this year. It's terrible. So, I think that's going
That's
to
what's
bounce back a
weird.
little bit.
It's weird
It's
that
like
I'm
a
having.
dead ball. It's like baseball decided to have a dead ball. Like, no, you don't realize people want scoring. We don't want
Yeah,
no hitters every other night. I think baseball, they need someone like you to run the league. I really think so. Or Miz too.
I think we would do a great job, but that's what's so troubling. It's like, why do I have a 4.5 ERA in the season where everybody's got a two? Like everyone.
You have a
Like
bad
what?
rotation if that's the
I was,
case right now.
I'm not,
You
how did
you
I
shouldn't
swing
have a
that?
4.54 right now. Sorry.
I think it's more impressive what I did than what everybody else did. Everybody put together a staff that's like a 2.3, 2.4. I'm the 4.5 guy. Like try to do that. Try to do that. You can't.
Very, very hard. Very, very hard. All right, let's talk about a million little things. Are you going to be picked up for a fifth season, you think?
I could go either way. It's a true
Really?
50-50
Yeah.
bubble show. I think it'll come down to the other pilots that they make and money and all the stuff that's way above my pay grade. But
Yeah.
it's been a good ride. I've worked with some really good people, and I have no regrets. If we're done, sayonara. If we get one
Yeah.
more ride, we'll close it up nice and say thanks to our fans. But that's it. That's the business, man. It's
Yep.
fickle.
Yep,
You
no
got to
doubt
make
about
your
it. Well, your
peace.
your character is a breast cancer survivor on that show. Is that one of the reasons you got involved with the V Foundation, or was that top of mind even before this show?
It was the reason I did the show.
Mhm.
I had never seen a breast cancer story told through that lens
Yeah,
before.
right.
Uh, it was very interesting to me. I have friends and family deeply affected by that horrible
Yep.
disease. So it was meaningful. And then, the fact that I do play a cancer survivor on TV, it feels like a pretty simple marriage when it comes time to do charitable work to,
Yeah.
to kind of stay in that lane, um, and use the platform and do as much good as I can.
Yeah, definitely. So Psych, which is a great show, lasted 8 seasons, did 3 films as well. Are there a fourth film and a fifth film coming up at some point?
I would bet on a fourth. I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good bet. Beyond that, who knows? We all have to stay alive. You never know, man. We're getting old, all of us. Um, but I think we've got enough in the tank, and the appetite's still there that we can at least get another one of these out.
Nice. Isn't it odd how it's gotten to be even more popular since it's off the air? I mean, the Psychos, it grows and it grows, and I mean, this is on USA Network, and now it's gotten to be so popular. You're amazed at all or not?
100%. It's a true phenomenon. I'll never really be able to explain it. You hear, old colloquialisms like lightning in a bottle or the
Yeah.
planets aligning, and they exist for a reason because it's kind of the only way you can describe something like Psych, which, there was no reason for it to hit. There really
Hmm.
wasn't. But the right people got together at the right time on the right network,
Yeah.
and the right people found the show, and it's just like all these things have to conspire in order to
Yeah.
create a cult phenomenon like this. And then on top of that, to have people passing the show down generations so that like people that started watching you in 2006
Right.
are now parents of
Right.
kids that have started watching the show because their parents watched it. It's
Yeah.
wild, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is crazy, but it's great. And it was on USA Network. It followed Monk, I believe, right? And or it came right before Monk, one of the two, and
Yeah,
that
Monk
was
was
very, very popular back then. I know.
yeah, it was great. And now the movies are now on the Peacock, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's the gift that continues to give. Best
it'll
fans ever.
stream forever. Yeah, it'll just keep streaming and streaming. Now it's streaming services. Everyone's looking for content. You're never gonna die, my man. You're never gonna die. You'll be on TV forever.
Knock on wood, Gregory.
All right, got to ask you, do you have the same heightened observation skills in real life and fantasy that Sean had in Psych then or not?
No, no, and that's
Why
that's the
not?
fun. That's the fun thing of being about being an actor is that you get to play these characters that are so different than you, and like I'm horrible. Like if I'm driving, even with GPS like
Yep.
loaded, if I start talking to anyone about anything, I will drive 30, 40 miles past an exit, and then I'll realize like, wow, this seems weird, right? Like this is what like I've never driven through the desert, to get there before. Yeah, 40 miles ago did this. 40.
Hmm.
I'm horrible.
Yeah, that's bad. You're not good. So when am I going to see you again at the live events? I don't think you've actually been to Vegas. I looked it up, either 2016 or 17. I know 16 for sure.
I'm
But
talking football, man. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to make it there for
really?
the next draft. Yeah, hell yeah. It's
Oh,
been
that would be.
these last few years have been informed heavily by COVID and international
Yeah.
travel, travel stuff. I couldn't get out and
Yeah.
back
Right.
without doing a ton of stuff. But
Right.
knock on wood, things don't get worse. We don't shut down again. Even if I'm back up here for another season, like bouncing down for a weekend will be easy.
Yeah, come on down for a Friday, Saturday like you did before. We would love to see you again. It's always great seeing you. I mean, I think it's great at the live events. Nobody bothers you. Nobody asks for any autographs or anything. You're just another
No,
guy trying to beat them in a league, right? I mean, it's just
it's always
everybody's
been so
focused.
cool.
Yeah,
Everybody's been so respectful.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a really great event. It's a good time. I feel like as the company has grown and
yeah,
as the business has grown, and because I've been there for so long, I've been able to like experience things like the food getting better. Like, like
That's
you
for
guys
sure.
really you guys have stepped it up over the years, Greg.
First of all, we didn't have any food at the beginning. People say, "Where's the food?" Or like, "What do you think? That costs money. I ain't giving you any food. I mean, eat before you get here," I would say. And then we would have a cash bar. Well, if you want something to drink, have it yourself. Well, now I've realized, my goodness, people spend a lot of money to travel to get here at the Bellagio. I'm picking up the bill. I just want everyone to have fun, and it's just a great community. It really is. I mean, this is our 19th year, and I can't even believe how much it's grown. So
You've
it's
done
been great.
good. You two
Yeah, good
bastards
so far.
have done real good.
All right, thanks. One last question for you then.
Yes,
So let
sir.
me ask, any advice for people who might consider getting into the NFFC, and especially our V Foundation contests, want to compete against you? Any advice? Because some people are like, "Oh, I can't compete against those guys." I mean, even you saying some of these guys are pros and stuff. Give somebody
I
some
think
advice.
if you're serious about it, get started now. And it doesn't have to take over your life. Like we've got a ways before training
Right.
camp starts. But there's so many great resources out there. Like whatever your favorite website is, like the NFFC has a bunch of really good resources.
Yep.
Like just start doing your homework now, as opposed to the week before your draft. And you'll be in pretty good shape. It's like everybody has access to the same stuff. Like
Yep.
it's not like these pros know players that nobody else knows. We all know who's on every roster. You just have to do the work, do some research, feel prepared. It's like studying for a test, but like the most fun test that's ever existed. And then as far as the V Foundation, look, if you've got some disposable income and you love fantasy sports, there's no better league to come and play, because you're doing some good, you're paying it forward. Chances are, if you're in my league, you'll beat me. That's another $1,000 going to pediatric cancer research that you can say that you had a hand in by beating me. So it's a good time for a great cause, and you can compete. You have to know going in that there are people that take this very, very seriously, because they're playing for a lot of money, and so you have to take it pretty seriously too.
Absolutely. Anybody can compete in the NFFC. Just come on, try it out. You're going to love it. You're going to love the camaraderie. You're going to love the competition. You're going to love competing against James and the Miz. And we'll have more details on that, right? We're going to get together with the Miz and maybe Kofi and Michael, and we'll do a live stream or something and tell everybody the details. But it's playnffc.com, and it's going to be the V Foundation. And if these guys win 250,000, they're donating the whole caboodle to the V Foundation and Connor's Cure for pediatric cancer research. James, great talking to you. I hope to see you in Vegas. If you can't make it, I'll be slightly disappointed. But then tell me if you're coming with the mustache or not, because I can shave this thing off. I don't like it. I like that look.
Everybody wants the stash back. You have no
Yeah.
excuse.
Okay.
You have no excuse. You have plenty of
Count on
time.
it in September then. All right.
All right, Greg.
All right. Thanks, man. Good talking to you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Always a pleasure.